He's one of the most dynamic fighters in the sport.
That kid is so talented.
And can stop any fight.
He ran off the wall like a ninja.
In the blink of an eye.
Did you see that?
Now, UFC lightweight champion Anthony Showtime Pettis.
I've never seen anything like that.
Will face his next challenge. Who aims to be a showstopper. On March 14th.
Can you believe it? Rafael Dos Anjos! He's done it!
Welcome.
Every time this kid is counted out. Unbelievable.
To the show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. I am your host, Lance Fischel. We got a fun show this week. We got a fun first word, and then we're going to jump into a really good pay-per-view. Joined first off by my co-host, Jay Primetown. Jay, what's up, man?
Doing well. Happy birthday to you. I guess it's you're another year older now. You're headed to Vegas. Don't lose all your money on these fights this weekend, Lance.
I'll see what I can do. I'm pretty decent at picking fights. I even have a podcast.
I heard.
That's proof. That's proof you're good.
It is. Everyone who has a podcast is good at everything they do. Duh.
I've heard that.
All right. Next up, Brad. How's it going?
Yeah, I hear, we've got another Jew, Ariel Helwani. He is the greatest MMA prognosticator in history because he's got a really, really long podcast. So that means he has to be really good, right?
Do people listen to that show still? Is that the thing?
I don't think
I only
I stopped.
once. I mean, yeah. Unless there's a certain guest that I hear is going to be on it and there could be some drama, then no.
See, I used to do that. Like, I would look at the guest list, and maybe sometimes I would decide to do it. But he's so obnoxious that I can't.
I don't even know where to listen to his podcast. Actually, like honestly,
it's the same. He's always been in MMA fighting.
Yeah, well, I've never gone and listened to it there, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, the only site I ever go to, like MMA site, is MMA Junkie.
See, I go to there's some things at Bloody Elbow I check out as well, but those two sites, and then I'll check out. Then I check out Shore Dog for check the forums to see if there's anything like that was missed on the news sites. But yeah,
I read my own articles on Oddsbreaker to make sure they get lots of hits.
But back to Hooknose. The thing that ticks me off most about him is that his self-worth to Ireland, like he thinks he's like the crown jewel, like he's like some like imported legend or something. Like the Irish people love me. I'm like, dude,
how do you know he doesn't? Maybe they do love him. Maybe he's like a god there.
I thought
maybe he's the only Jew.
Yeah, I thought they loved Catholic people there.
He could be the only Jew. That's a good point.
That's very, very true. A lot of Catholics. Yeah.
Next up, lastly, Towdy McTatterson, Sean Carey.
Hello. I'm touting. Come buy my package at profitcappers.net. Tout.
I don't want to.
You already did.
Tout.
No more fucking. I'm glad the dots are catching on and they annoy all of you.
Are they? What are those things called? Ellipses? I think?
Ellipses, yeah.
Ellipses. What the hell is an ellipse? I mean, who came up with that bullshit?
I hate it.
I know, but Canadians know the answer to that question.
Well, they gotta teach you something in school.
Is it we don't have an army?
No.
Lance, we've been over this. You guys tried once. We burned down the White House. Just stop.
I saw that movie.
That was Independence Day. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that was a movie, though.
Yeah, Brad, you're confusing reality.
Brad, didn't you see Canadian Bacon? We got you back.
Alrighty.
Candy is a national treasure.
Let's move on from there. So, first off, we want to thank our sponsor, 5 Dimes. Everyone knows we've been doing our consensus underdog bets with 5 Dimes, so they are our partner in the gambling world. So we do appreciate their support. So now jumping into the actual first word, a lot of people started with this Mark Coleman situation where he blew all his money like every single athlete's ever done in the history of athletics. Except in MMA, a lot of MMA fans don't watch other sports. They don't understand it. It's like the most common thing ever for former athletes to be poor. So they went up in arms and started crying and blah, 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 blah. So I guess this kind of spun the talk about a union. Because people were talking about pensions. They were talking about, supporting former fighters and all of this. And I guess the question for me is, why don't we have a union? It is, I know it's a younger sport, but every sport has a union. It's very popular for boxing. What sport doesn't? Oh, well, that doesn't count because it's not like a one league with everything under it, though.
It's the closest related thing to the UFC.
Yeah,
true, but no,
pro
because
wrestling is closer than boxing, honestly.
Yeah,
they have a union too.
99% of or 95% of the good fighters are in the UFC. So you could make a comparison. Not with obviously like Dana does, but you could make a comparison that UFC is like an MLB or NFL or NHL or things like that because everyone's under one banner. But anyway, Why isn't there a union? Should they develop a union, Jay?
Why don't they have a union? I think it's, I think it comes down specifically to that it requires the best fighters to participate in the union. Because those are the guys that if they say, well, we're not going to fight unless we get some sort of retirement pension or health, some sort of additional health benefits or some sort of mental thing in regards to trauma with concussions, that sort of thing. They have to participate because they're the ones who hold the real leverage. Because I think the UFC has 500 and I'm going to throw out numbers. Say they have 550 fighters under their umbrella. Probably in reality, only 25 fighters probably matter, and even maybe half of that are ones that are able to really kind of sell tickets. Like that's really it. So you're talking about 15 guys or so that can really sell tickets. Those they have to participate. Or the UFC's like, well, you're just an average Joe. We have nothing to really add to do anything for you because you're not affecting our bottom line. Yeah,
I mean, unions is just, the whole thing. I am not a bleeding heart. It's not something that I ever really feel bad for. But I mean, the basic things of a union is A, to get paid more, but B, take care of yourself after the sport. Brad, what do you think? I know Canadians are all bleeding hearts.
Absolutely not. I fall on the more conservative side of this thing. Fighters need to be smart about the money that they make while they're fighting. They know they have a very short career window. I think the unique thing about MMA is that the time that some fighters spend in the UFC is so brief that how do you really qualify who gets into the union, who gets the union benefits, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of, really narrow qualifications you'd have to make for something like this to work. And then there's also the fact that a lot of the fighters already get paid so little that if you made something through the union, are they going to get enough benefit from the union down the road for it to be worthwhile at all? Like, if you're getting paid 8 and 8 right now, is it really going to matter if you get into a union and they can give you $2,000 a year 20 years from now? It's really not going to make a difference. So I understand the benefits to it. I just think the logistics of it right now with the lack of money that's in the sport just don't make it make sense.
Sean, do you give a shit at all about this topic?
Yeah, I do, because I think overall, and yeah, believe me, I don't give a shit about Mark Coleman. Sorry, but I just don't.
Mark Coleman got paid like $500,000 to throw a fight against Takada. What did he do with that money?
Don't say that. He loves wrestlers.
He's taking me down.
Those guys are getting ripped off. The fighters are getting ripped off. They should be getting way more money, and they're not. And the only way they're going to get it is to get a union, but that's not going to happen because I'm sure the powers that be will get rid of you mighty quick if you start some union talk. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, a union would fucking help for especially a lot of the top guys. I mean, they could get killed in a cage while millions of people watch for our amusement. So that's worth, a retirement pension.
Yeah, I have no issue with a pension, but there's not one. And I think my issue is that what people think should happen. Basically, everyone's like, I can't believe this has happened. Dana White should give him his personal bank account. That's basically what everyone says. Like, oh, fuck Dana White. I can't believe Mark Coleman blew all his money. Like, when you read a story about an NFL player who lost all his money, has anyone ever been like, God, fuck Roger Goodell? Like, fuck him for making this guy blow all his money. You just
Lance,
don't hear it.
what do you think equates? Do you think that the UFC makes more money in comparison to the fighters than the NFL makes in comparison to the players?
I don't know, man.
Yes.
The NFL makes so much money. Like,
But
it's
Yeah, but
insane.
as, like a
The
share
issue
of
is
the
that
revenue, Lance.
it's stated though. It's stated how much the percentage is. Like it's part of the collective bargaining is that they know, like they kind of estimate how much revenue there's going to be for a certain period of years, and they split it to whatever percentage they agree to. It's fairly close to 50-50, which I think is kind of similar to basketball as well.
Well, I mean,
So that's not even close to UFC then.
All of the major
No.
sports are basically, 50-50. They go up and down a little bit. I think the highest
Somewhere
is like
between
55 right now for hockey.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it's funny. Everyone talks about, like, you see, like, people always talk about athletes are overpaid. In other sports, MMA is like the opposite, fucking polar opposite. But, like, in other sports, like, so-and-so is overpaid. Like, out back in the day, Alex Rodriguez is overpaid, and LeBron James is overpaid, and guys like that. When you look at it, not even compared to their peers, but athletes are underpaid when you look at it. If LeBron makes, $20 million a year, he's bringing in more revenue to the NBA than $20 million a year because of, the eyeballs he brings in for sponsorships and tickets, just everything in general. So even in all sports, you could say athletes are underpaid, but in MMA, like, the guy who's making curtain jerker on Fight Pass, guy wins, he makes $16,000. You could make an argument he's overpaid, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
Like, is he bringing in $16,000 more, or $16,000 of revenue to the UFC?
Nope.
No.
There's a huge disparity. Well, the same goes for, the 12th man on a bench in NBA. He's making still, probably $750,000, $1 million. I'm not sure what the minimum salary is right now, but
Shit ton, yeah.
yeah, he's not bringing in that much for the NBA.
But
It's not for the NBA. It's
not for the NBA. It's for the team.
That's part of the difference as well.
That's the difference. But you can make an argument. I mean, if we're talking about Ronda Rousey, I don't know what Ronda makes to fight. Let's say it's $2 million. She's underpaid. How about let's see who's in this card? Who's the first fight on this card coming up?
Pettis. The first opening fight.
Yeah, who's the opening fight?
Jermaine
Larissa Pacheco and Jermaine Durandame.
So I would assume Larissa Pacheco makes $8,000, and let's say she loses or she wins the fight or loses the fight. Let's say she loses the fight. She makes $8,000. There's no way in fucking hell she made the UFC $8,000 for fighting. But then, like, you go up. Let's look at Alistair Overeem. I don't know what he makes. He makes probably a couple hundred now.
Yeah,
There's way more, and people will say he's overpaid. I can't believe the UFC is going to pay him a couple $100,000. I guarantee there's a bunch of people that would buy the pay-per-view to watch two heavyweights like a guy like Alistair Overeem get in a fight.
He's my cousin's favorite fighter. Like, he just loves the Reem. That's his thing. I'm like, okay, you like the Reem. I don't know why, because he looks like that guy. You know what I mean?
No one's buying Fight Pass to watch Larissa Pacheco or Jake Lindsay. They're just not. You could put, it doesn't matter. So the whole pay thing is interesting because the people who make more are the people who are really underpaid. The people who make less are really not even relevant. You could I tell you tomorrow, none of these Fight Pass guys are going to happen. No one cares.
The only case you could make is that you're not going to be able to sell 15,000 tickets if it was one fight. It was like, okay, show up for 30 minutes to see this one fight and leave. Like, people aren't going to pay for 30 minutes of your time.
Depending on what the fight is, I might do it.
It's pretty rare.
I disagree, though.
I understand what Brad's saying, but there's that's, I guess, part of the allure is that, like, you have, like, several fights. That was part of boxing's problem for so long, was that people only tuned in for one or two fights. I mean, I don't know. I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate. But you're right, though. You could put in 50 different fighters, and it would still be in the first couple fights of the card, it wouldn't make a difference.
One's being obviously, dramatic. Obviously, that would never happen. But what if we had 6 fights on the card? That would be about the average length of a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game, somewhere in that length. What if we just took, we have 12 fights on most cards. What if we took the 6 fights, took them off the card, made the entire show, 3 hours, and we paid those people more? You could charge.
How do you develop new guys?
Maybe they have a different show, a challenger type series they had on Strikeforce. I don't know.
I was a huge
Just like
fan of,
if you paid guys like Roger Narvaez more, so he didn't have to have a job, maybe he becomes one of the big money guys. I mean, maybe a bad example on who I picked there, but
maybe we give his $16,000 for Pacheco. Maybe we give Pacheco $16,000 to Roger Narvaez.
I think you take all the women and give their money to the dudes. I'll be happy.
Outside of
like
Ronda.
somebody like Ali Quinta or someone like that. Like pretty decent talent, but maybe whatever. Like I think that's kind of Sean's point though. But even if you made it 8 fights and you put 8 fights in 3 hours, people already complain about the time between the fights. There's too much lag and too much white. We'll call it white noise, so to speak. I mean, why not?
Racist.
Well, Lance, you've been to Vegas for fights, right?
No, I have not.
Oh,
I have though.
Yeah, so Jay, you know that the crowd in Vegas doesn't show up until the main card anyways. So you could get away with 5 or 6 fights, and you're going to get the same sort of crowd that you would get for 11 or 12 fights.
But
and those are the most numbers.
The West Coast, and all that. I mean, the main card doesn't start till 7 o'clock at night. So
why is the Virginia card starting at 10:30
in the
I
morning?
think it's because the Final Four is the weekend.
Oh, I'm looking at my travel time. I'm like, God damn it!
They don't want to compete with the Final Four, I think.
But anyway, we won't jump into we won't talk too much long. I think we just talked for like 20 minutes on I don't know what we talked about. What are we talking about?
Hard hitting analysis.
Yeah,
unions, money,
very important.
Unions,
things.
money.
I have a different perspective too. I mean, I took so many college classes and stuff like this. I was a sport management major and stuff, so I read so many like the free agency case like for baseball and like with Kurt Flood and all that. Like I've read all this and how unions were started and free agency was started and stuff. Like super into that stuff, so I could talk about it for hours. But I won't.
Plus, it's in your genes, Lance. It's in your DNA.
It's the Jew stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a Hebrew joke.
I did have one person mentioning, and I know Jay talked to it a little bit before we go into the fights because we don't have any recaps, so I guess we can talk a little bit more. We have Carlos Condit versus Thiago Alves scheduled for I think May, and that line came out. I think it opened about -160, -165, and I know Sean mentioned it, but what are we missing here? Why is that line low? What's
all
going
has
on?
to be.
Sean, what do you think?
The only thing it can be is layoff, and that doesn't even make that much sense. That's the only thing that you can point at. 5 rounds against Condit, Alves, who's proved twice in a row that he gets hit by everything that you throw at him, against a guy who doesn't get knocked out. So it's layoff, I guess. That's the only thing it can be. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, is there any doubt that Carlos Condit does not finish Thiago Alves in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round?
No, he absolutely.
The only thing is if he somehow re-blows his knee in the fight. Otherwise, he's going to outwork him. He's going to outstrike him. He's a more accurate striker. He is more of a volume striker, and his conditioning is far superior. Far superior. It's not even close. I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah,
this is 3 rounds. This is the worst line I've seen in at least 6 months.
Condit's going to overwhelm him with strikes. Alves is going to shoot for a shitty takedown, and Condit's probably going to sub him at some point.
Brett, what about dick size? What's the word?
Well, Condit is the longer fighter, from what I hear. So.
Longer.
That does make sense.
I don't know if we can say this is the worst line we've seen in a while, considering the line's only moved like 50 cents, 60 cents.
That's I don't remember a line that's worse than that one.
Yeah, but we say that.
No, the Michael McDonald Brad Pickett line was horrendous.
Yeah,
it opened like Brad Pickett -220, and it closed Michael McDonald like -300.
But this is only moved 50 cents.
This is 2 guys that we know everything about. We know everything about.
It's kind of the same way.
But it's not a bad line if they're kind of close to getting 2-way, because Condit's still sitting at -220. So obviously,
I think it's because the fight is so far away. People didn't even realize it was released, or don't care at this point.
Whoever's high on Alves,
they don't think it's going to happen.
Whoever's high on Alves after that last fight, raise your hand, because I need to talk to you. Like I don't get it. You're into Alves after that? I don't get it.
I bet on that fight, and I won that fight with Alves, and after he knocked him out, I was like, what a horrible bet I made in one.
Yeah,
that was a bad read.
I don't know if I bet Jordan May, but I definitely picked him to win, and I was like, after round 1, I was like, wow, this is too easy, and then
I got +400 after the first round. I'll take it.
That's exactly the point, though. I mean, he was literally plus 400 to win after the first round. I mean,
yeah, he got
against
smacked.
a guy who's basically nothing.
Yeah. So one of the questions just came in. Hard-hitting analysis. This one's for Sean. Sean, one of our good friends, the MMA State of Mind, would like to know if you spit or swallow.
Yeah, I actually answered this on Twitter. It actually has everything to do with the race of the penis involved. Because different people eat different things, that determines whether I spit or swallow. That's the honest truth.
Yeah. So you don't like the taste of pinto beans, what you're saying?
No, I mean, the races across the globe that eat a lot of pineapple, they're going down the gullet, folks.
You love Hawaii, don't you?
That's some good stuff. All right.
If you didn't want to know, don't ask.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can go ahead and jump into. We don't have any recaps or anything else, so I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into the predictions. Does that sound good to everyone?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Starting off on the preliminary card on Facebook, and this fight is this is UFC 185 live from Dallas. We have on UFC Fight Pass in the women's bantamweight division, Larissa Pacheco versus German de Randamie.
German.
She's a dude-looking chick, right?
She has weird curly hair. I'll say that.
Wasn't she supposed to be like a good striker?
It's kind of like a weird Jerry Curl kind of thing.
This is a chick? Her name's Germaine. I thought this was the UFC's first intergender match. Like, the Holly Holm thing, it started a trend, and now they're just going full-blown intergender matches.
Do you remember Jermaine Dupri, Welcome to Atlanta?
Jermaine Jackson?
Sadly, that song came out when I was in high school, I think. So I heard it all the time.
And then they had the remix.
You know what the worst thing was? So my high school was the Greyhounds, right? When I was, I think it was maybe junior year, the song "Who Let the Dogs Out" came out.
Oh,
so
boy.
every sporting event, literally every sporting event, about 10 times. Like, we shoot a 3, "Who let the dogs out?" And it was every first down at a football game. Oh, it's fucking brutal.
That is a pretty wowing moment.
All right, Jay, go ahead and start the breakdown. And St. Bonaventure's up 10. Boom.
Oh, nice one. I got both these women as a C-. Here's the thing with this one. de Randamie is a more refined striker, but once she's on her back, it's like she doesn't know how to swim. Like, all she does is basically try to hold her opponent until the ref forces them up. Pacheco hits decently hard for a bantamweight. She's a much younger fighter. They're about the same size, and Pacheco actually has a ground game, can actually submit people. She has a win over Alexa Grasso, who's seems to be one of the most prominent female fighters in Invicta right now. So
you're talking about Aldana.
Pacheco, yeah, right, exactly. Aldana, sorry, this is a long time ago. I broke this one down, but yeah, Pacheco has more ways to win, so I'll pick her to win. But I wouldn't bet this one.
Did you do your grades? I missed it.
C- for each.
That's high. Maybe I'm going to do my grades when I do mine, except make them way worse than Jay's, because he likes to. All right, Brad, I know you would give them each a D-, correct?
Maybe a D.
Ooh.
Maybe a D.
Wow. Good food tonight.
Yeah, so...
I wish you guys were going to Vegas with me this weekend. It's pretty lame. You're not.
Yeah, I would have liked to be there, but...
Well, if we keep winning these underdog bets, maybe we'll get to Vegas some point last.
Yeah, exactly. Boom. For this fight, I am not overly interested in it, but I think Jay hit on a couple of the good points. The fact that de Randamie is a significantly cleaner striker, I think, is going to be one of the biggest factors here, because Pacheco's going to come forward, she's going to throw wild punches, she's going to get countered a lot. I don't think that her wrestling is good enough to take de Randamie down consistently in this fight. So I think it's going to stay on the feet. I think de Randamie is the better striker, and I think she's probably going to win a decision because of that. But if I don't tune into this fight, I'm not going to go back and search for it.
That's fair. Sean?
Yeah, last night I watched Map to the Stars by David Cronenberg. Really good movie. It's really weird. All the characters are fucking crazy. Like, Julianne Moore is excellent. John Cusack is this guy who rubs your butt and makes you talk about when you were abused as a kid. And just, it's really strange, but really fun. You guys should watch it. Map to the Stars.
What's that do with rubbing your butt?
I don't know. He just rubs your butt and makes you talk about how you were abused as a kid. It's a weird thing to see John Cusack do.
What's this thing called?
Maps to the Stars.
Sean, did you see the Returned remake on A&E?
No.
It's pretty good.
What's the Returned? Oh, wait. The TV show? No, I meant to check that out.
The French one?
Yeah,
I don't know what,
right.
the original was French.
One.
Yeah,
right. Hey, have you guys been? Go ahead.
The remake was good. Jeremy Sisto's in it. I really like him.
I'll check it out. Have you guys seen The Jinx on HBO?
No. What's it about?
You gotta catch up. It's about Robert Durst. It's a true story. This guy
is that Fred Durst's brother?
Fred Durst. Jinx. It's all about the nookie.
The Durst family is the people who own all this real estate in New York City. They're huge billionaires, and this guy has dismembered someone and admitted it in court and still gotten away with it. And he's doing an interview, and he's right on the edge of killing himself. They catch him. He practices a lie out loud while his microphone is on, and he doesn't know it. And the last episode is on this Sunday. You guys should catch up. It's only 6 episodes. It's fucking really good. You should watch it.
Good deal. I'm gonna pick neither of the fighters.
Okay.
That's a good pick.
It's a pretty good pick. Hey, odds of Lance trying to be in Vegas and watching a fight between Jermaine de Rondamay and Luka Pacheco. Parlay that shit. That's the lock of the century, right? God. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Oh, I'll give both of them a D-, Jay. Didn't know they were fighters.
You don't watch women's... Well, anyway.
I watch Rousey and Tate. That's it. Yeah, and I'll watch the one this weekend because I'll be there watching. So anyway, lightweight division: Jake Lindsay, Joseph Duffy. That's the dude who beat Conor McGregor. Jay
and Norman Park. He's got wins over both of those guys. I got Lindsay as a D-. I got Joseph Duffy C+. Actually, he's one of the highest grades I've given since I started doing these scouting reports at MMA Oddsbreaker. The thing I was most impressed with Duffy actually is actually his footwork, his movement, and his striking. He actually took a couple of years off from MMA, went to boxing. I think he won his 7 pro fights that he had. No idea who he fought, but he left that, went back to MMA. He's a pretty competent fighter, pretty decent all around. Sub game is solid. Boxing is good. Like I said, foot movement, speed, all pretty solid. My question marks with him though are what will happen when he actually has to face a real wrestler. That's not going to be here though. Lindsay can be taken down pretty easily. His chin isn't great either. So I think Duffy is just a far superior fighter. He could either win by sub or by knockout. Either would wouldn't be a surprise at all if either of those happened. Duffy's minus 130 inside the distance right now. I'm on the fence about that one, but he should win comfortably.
Bradley?
Yeah, I think Duffy's going to win this fight as well. I don't think that he's got a super high ceiling as a prospect. As Jay said, he is pretty well-rounded. He's got good boxing. The reason that I heard that he stopped boxing and came back to MMA is because he kept breaking his hands in boxing. So there's that to look out for. But it's not going to matter in this fight because even if he breaks his hand, he's still going to be able to take Jake Lindsay down and win this fight easily on the ground. The one thing that I did bet here is the over 1.5. It's something that I've been tracking a little bit over the course of the year so far, and it seems like there's been a little bit of value in those over 1.5. So I think that Lindsay's not going to go away quite as easily as people think he is. So I do expect this fight to hit maybe the third round, or maybe even go to decision, especially if Duffy just wants to keep it on the feet and work on his striking a little bit here. So Duffy to win and over 1.5.
Brad, did you watch the Jake Lindsay versus John Tuck fight?
I did, where he made it to the third round.
Do you remember that John Tuck hit him a couple times softly with his heel?
Yeah.
And Lindsay screamed, basically, and then started crying in the cage?
Yeah.
I do.
And then do you remember he got another fight in the UFC for no reason whatsoever, and he got submitted by inverted triangle Kimura.
The guy that got submitted by is a better grappler than Duffy.
Why is this guy getting another fight?
I have no idea, but I'm still going to cash this bet.
I just know he's better than Ben Askren. That's all I know. Sean?
I can tell you why he's getting another fight, because they want to set Duffy up. What a weird kind of phenomenon around Duffy. He's the last one to beat McGregor, so we're supposed to think he's good. I looked at him. He looks okay, but without that McGregor win, is he really still minus 550 against Lindsay?
Yes. He tapped out to heel strikes.
I mean, Lindsay's terrible, but this is a situation where you fade this kid if he was fighting anyone with a pulse. He's got a lot to live up to just because he beat somebody who's hot right now. It's just a weird thing. Jay's right. His boxing looks good. His feet look good. The subs are good. The sub defense obviously is not so great, or at least it wasn't so great. In order to live up to what he's coming in, he has to beat this pressure, and he needs to finish Lindsay, and he needs to do it early. Anything besides a finish, and forget about it. He's in the fucking Lombard zone. I don't believe in him.
Lindsay lost to the equivalent of a foot stomp.
It was horrible.
That's
top five.
That was the weakest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's top five worst ever.
People always talk about guys saying like he wants out of this fight, like he wanted out, but like I truly have never seen someone like just begging and pleading to get out of the game. Yeah.
Oh, that was really weird.
First, a mediocre
rewatched
fighter.
that fight. I think it was yesterday. I was like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. Well, everyone thought it was like an illegal strike or something.
Right.
Like, oh, did he get him in the balls? They're like, no, he just heel kicked him to the side pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
He kicked him right in the vagina.
Do you think he had, Charlie horse, motherfucker!
Yeah. It was very Hoist Gracie of him.
And to John Tuck of all people? I mean, come on.
Yeah, so I like Duffy here, but I'm not betting this fight. I just want Jake Lindsay to win for the laugh out loud value. But I think Lindsay is pretty fucking pathetic as a fighter. But Duffy, first UFC fight, with the long break, hasn't really fought anyone great since Conor McGregor. And I'm not laying that kind of juice on Duffy. So next up, flyweight division, Sergio Pettis versus Chris Benoit. Was it too soon? Jay?
Wait, Bellator's doing Ortiz versus McGeary now? Oh, boy.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, whoa. God, Bellator makes me hate it more every day in my life.
Scott Coker is literally the worst thing to happen to Bellator.
I know. Even Mad Dog hates Bellator.
That's going to get some eyeballs, though.
Tito's going to win.
Is Bjorn still in Mexico?
Tito will get submitted.
Have you seen Tito's ground game?
What are Bjorn's doing right now?
Mexico!
That's the only thing I can think of.
Is Georgetown going to lose to Creighton?
I don't know. I don't like winning these conference tournaments. I got Ryan. Is it Benoit or Benoit?
Benoit.
I think it's Benoit. No, it's Benoit, right?
Well, Benoit's stupid. Is he Canadian?
I defer to Brad in his regional analysis.
Oh, he's Canadian?
Well, Ryan Benoit's from Texas, so I assume he pronounces it Benoit, but any normal person would pronounce it Benoit.
All right, we'll go with normal people then. Benoit D, Sergio Pettis C+. I don't think Benoit is very good. Poor chin. I mean, yeah, he's fairly aggressive, and he kind of looks like Andy Ogle. He reminds me a little bit of Andy Ogle, but I don't even think he's as good as Andy Ogle, which is not a good thing. Sergio Pettis is a pretty refined striker. Pretty decent all around, except that his takedown defense is poor. Other than that, he can work a variety of ways, and he has many different ways he could beat Benoit here. I thought Pettis probably had his best UFC fight his last time out. I thought he dominated Hobart for the most part. Who's a much better fighter than
he got cracked though.
That was and then he controlled the last 14 minutes and 50 seconds of the fight. So I think Pettis is going to dominate Benoit here. I'm not sure if he finishes because it's Sergio Pettis, and I don't think he hits that hard. So Pettis by domination, probably 30-27 decision.
Bradley?
Yeah, Sergio Pettis, he's getting better, but I think he had a ton of room to get better in. You look back to some of his fights in RFA, he had some good wins, but he also had some fights where he got cracked. And then he got cracked against Alex Caceres, he got cracked against Matt Hobar, and it really wouldn't shock me with as aggressive as Benoit is, and I think he's got more power than both of those guys if he gets cracked again here. So, obviously, Sergio Pettis is the better fighter here. Takedown defense, yeah, it's a concern. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue here because Benoit prefers to just stand on the feet and get a little wild. So I don't think that's going to come into play too much. But honestly, I threw a quarter unit flyer on Benoit by TKO. I think that lines up at like plus 1,050 right now, just because I could see him landing something early and maybe hurting Pettis. So that's the only play I've got here. I do expect Pettis is probably going to win, but I thought that line was a little too crazy.
Sean?
Yeah, the line is crazy indeed. I agree with you guys, but maybe I think a little bit less of Little Pettis than you guys do. I don't think he's any good so far. I think he's very vulnerable in all facets of his game. I expect him to look better at this weight class. He won't have size issues. I think the takedown defense will get better. But the issue here is that Benoit coming forward all aggressive, I see that shutting Pettis down. I don't see Pettis picking his spots and countering like he should, like his brother would. It's more of like we've seen him not do anything a bunch of times in a row. He should win decision, but I think Benoit might get around, might crack him once, something like that. But Pettis by decision.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as Sean and Brad here. I think we almost had a consensus dog bet, not pick, but bet here. But Jay doesn't like Ryan Benoit, probably because of relation to Chris Benoit. But yeah, I like Benoit here at the price. I think he's more likely a winner than the odds currently tell. I don't think Sergio Pettis is very good at all. We've seen a lot of issues with him. Seen some issues with his ground game. We've seen him, getting some bad positions on the ground. We've seen him get hit a good bit. I think it's just the name that's giving him this line, because if you've watched Sergio Pettis fight, he just hasn't looked that good. This is also going to be the first fight on his at 125 in a while, so I'm just not overly sold on Sergio Pettis. Now, I'm not saying Ryan Benoit is a likely winner. I'm saying he's more likely than 4-1. So this is going to be a play I'm going to bet. It's probably going to be just a half unit. I'll be in Vegas too, so it'll be fun. So yeah, this is kind of what I'm looking at. So Ryan Benoit, kind of just a small play here. And by the way, Jay, I don't know if you noticed, but Iowa State just tied it up.
Also, Benoit plus 3.5 is plus 175, which is kind of crazy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's moving on now. We'll move on to the Fox Sports portion of this card. Actually FX this time. We have in the heavyweight division Jared Rosholt versus Josh Huggy Bear Copeland. That is like so fearsome and violent. Jay?
I have Copeland as a D. Jared Rosholt, the athlete, C. But Jared Rosholt, the fighter, D+, because that chin is not good. Here's the thing with Rosholt.
You gave Rosholt a D+?
Because he gets hit too easily. Listen to me. Jared Rosholt,
he probably
do
a
here?
top 15 heavyweight or top 20 heavyweight in the world, and you gave him a D.
Well, that's because there's not that many others, Lance. There's only a couple guys in each grade level.
He's no Magomedov, Lance.
Yeah, he's not even close.
He would beat Magomedov.
He's not.
Oh my god.
He would definitely beat Big Medov.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Like I said,
I hope they make that fight.
I don't care how bad his chin is. Big Medov couldn't finish a sandwich, even if it was like delicious from like Earl of Sandwich or something.
That's 15 minutes of punishment right there. He just gets kicked in the head over and over again.
You couldn't finish a Tino's cheesesteak.
So Copeland, Rosholt either dominates with wrestling, which he could certainly do. Copeland's only method to victory, which is not impossible when you're facing a guy like Jared Rosholt, is to knock him out. Rosholt has pretty decent hands. If he connects, it could be night-night for Jared Rosholt. We've seen it once. We've seen it twice. We could see it again. So I'll pick Rosholt to win by decision because that's kind of what Rosholt normally does. But I have a half a unit bet on Copeland KO, TKO, plus 410. His only method to victory is that.
Brad.
Yeah, people act like Jared Rosholt is some terrible striker, but I would say he's average to maybe slightly above average for heavyweight strikers. Like, he was lighting Olenek up in his last fight, and then he just got caught with some weird-ass Ukrainian power shit. And, Ukraine is strong, so he went down. But in this fight, Copeland is going to be slower than Rochalts. He's going to be a way inferior wrestler than Rochalts. And on the ground, he does have absolutely nothing. So, Rochalt's going to win this fight. He's going to close the distance. He's going to play it safe because he did get knocked out last time, and he's going to win a decision here. So, this is another one of those lines that's set at 1.5, the total, and I am again on the over here, 1 unit.
Sean?
What's the number, Brad?
I think that one was minus 150.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I agree with Brad, but unless you're making the bet that Jay is, just keep your money in your pockets. This is not a fight to bet on. I think Copeland definitely has the power to land a bomb and take him out, but I don't expect Rochelle to be keeping this on the feet at all. He just got knocked out. He should be going for takedowns. If he's got it in his head that he needs to prove that he's a good striker by striking with somebody who's their only way to win is landing a bomb, then you can add bad fight IQ to the rest of the list why Jared Rochelle isn't any good. That being said, Rochelle by decision is probably the way that this is going to go.
Yeah, I would say Jared Rochelle is probably my most confident pick on the entire card in this matchup. Copeland is extremely slow. Very, very slow. The only way Rochelle would get knocked out if he literally puts his hands behind his back and just stands there and stares at him. Copeland is really, really slow, and Rochelle's not a stupid guy. Like, when you listen to him talk and just everything else, he knows his chin's an issue, and he knows how he can win this fight. He knows his best way to win this fight is take him down, beat him up, and win a decision. So that's what I think he's going to do. Copeland's going to have nothing to stop that takedown, and I really think it's going to be all Jared Rochelle. He's going to take him down, he's going to beat him up, and I think it's going to be a completely one-sided fight. And I do think he's going to get a finish here. Copeland has a horrible gas tank, and Rochelle's going to take him down, be on top, allow him ground and pound. I think he's going to get one of those like horribly boring tap him on the shoulder kind of stoppages. So that's kind of how I see it playing. So I do like Jared Rochelle. He will be in a parlay. I haven't actually made my bets yet, but Rochelle's definitely going to be in a parlay. So, and I might even look at Rochelle. It's only plus 117. Never mind. So just Jared Rochelle in a parlay. All right, let's move on here as we go next up to the lightweight division, as we have the Detroit superstar Darren Cruikshank versus Beneil Dariush. Okay.
I got Cruikshank B-, Beneil Dariush C+. This is probably the best fight on the prelims. It's gone a bit under the radar, so I'm looking forward to this one. I'm kind of surprised of how the price kind of drifted back. I kind of thought that Cruikshank would climb up, actually. Dariush, he looked pretty good in his last fight against kind of an undersized Carlos Diego Ferreira. Was able to out-grapple him. Cruikshank's takedown defense, though, is pretty decent. I think people forget that, and he hits pretty damn hard, and Dariush could definitely struggle. So I like Cruikshank to win here, and I have him in a bet with Sergio Pettis for 2 units. Let me pick the number out for you guys. I had a minus 113. This was earlier, though, so you can get a much better number now.
Jay, I told you to take Iowa State.
I didn't have a time to do that.
They came back from 16 down, won outright.
There you go.
Buzzer beater.
Texas.
Oh, I pushed.
Hilarious.
But
you wanted overtime, didn't you?
Huh? Honestly, down 16, I'll take the push.
You should have just live bet it. You would have been fine.
Well, he did live bet it. He won all his live bets on it.
Oh yeah. Good job. I don't live bet.
I didn't post them, but I won them. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. All right. Brad.
Yeah, I really like Darren Cruikshank in this fight. I think that Beneil Dariush has pretty much always been overrated in his UFC run. Obviously, he got a favorable first matchup and got the submission after knocking down what's his face with the floppy hair, Brenneman. And then I think we saw a little bit more of the real Dariush in his second fight, where he got knocked out by a pretty bad striker in Ramsey Nijem. Last fight, I think people are, again, overrating him because of it. The Diego Ferreira that we saw in that fight was not the Diego Ferreira that we saw in his previous UFC appearances. He was just extremely sluggish in that fight. He took it on a couple weeks' notice because he wanted to fight in Brazil, because he'd never fought there before, I believe. Even though he's Brazilian, he's always fought in Texas. And he put on just an absolutely dreadful performance because of that. So Dariush isn't going to be able to come out, pin Cruikshank up against the cage, get takedowns, and put on a terribly boring fight like he did in his last fight. He's going to have trouble closing the distance because Cruikshank's going to move, he's going to jab, he's going to kick, and I think eventually Cruikshank's going to knock him out here. So I do like Darren Cruikshank. I've got 2.8 to win 2 on him at the current price of minus 140.
Sean?
Yeah, for me, this is the hardest fight to pick on the card. I'm really up in the air what's going to happen. If I had to break it down, I would say one of two things are going to happen. The first thing is Cruikshank always backs up. Dariush will come forward. Nobody will land anything of any consequence. Dariush will eventually back him into the cage, push him against the cage, maybe get a takedown for only a couple seconds, maybe do that 2 out of the 3 rounds and win the decision. The other thing that could happen is that during that process, Cruikshank lands one kick and gets him the fuck out of there. I don't know which one's going to happen, but I'm going to stay away from it. If I had to pick somebody, I would pick Cruikshank.
Yeah, I lean Cruikshank here, but I kind of lean with Sean here. This is ultimately more than likely going to be a pass unless there's some crazy line movement. I could get Cruikshank at maybe plus 100 or minus 105, 110, somewhere around there. I see it as a close fight just because I think Dariush can kind of make this kind of a dirty fight, push him against the cage, work the body, land some strikes here and there. And also, even though Cruikshank is very flashy, sometimes he can be a little bit tentative with the strikes, throw a bunch of kicks that come within like 16 feet of his opponent. So we could see a bunch of that. But my gut does tell me Cruikshank that he lands his kicks to the body, he lands his leg kicks, he maybe lands a couple head kicks, maybe drops Dariush a certain amount of times. And as far as Dariush getting this fight to the ground, where I think ultimately he's going to want to get it, I don't think he has the wrestling to be able to get the fight to the ground. I think Cruikshank is the better wrestler in this match, so that's kind of another factor to look at. But it's ultimately going to be a pass unless something changes and I decide to go with Cruikshank here at the last minute. Is somebody like working out or packing boxes or making dinner?
No, my dog was scratching at the door.
Next up, middleweight division, Elias Theodorou versus Roger Narvaez. Jay?
I got Theodorou C+, Narvaez C-. I just think this fight ultimately comes down to Theodorou outworking Narvaez. It's a bit tricky because Theodorou really hasn't faced anyone of value. I guess neither has Narvaez. I mean, that was a good win he had against Luke Barnett, but did he really win? I mean, did he really win that fight? Yeah, he dominated the 3rd round, but he probably lost the first 2 rounds and maybe stole one of the judges' scorecards. He is fighting in his home state of Texas, so there's that. But Theodorou, pretty good work rate. Fight's boring, but he's very effective, and I think Theodorou gets the W in this one by decision.
Brad?
Yeah, Theodorou's one of those guys where it's nice to bet on him because it doesn't matter what his opponent's style is. You know he's going to come out and he's going to put his style into the fights, and there's not a lot of guys at the level that he's at right now that are going to be able to stop him from doing that. So he's going to come out, he's going to get in tight, he's going to drag Narvaez down, Narvaez is going to stand up, Theodorou is going to drag him back down, he's going to stand up, he's going to drag him back down, and that's going to happen for 15 minutes or until Narvaez gets too tired to keep standing up. And if he gets too tired to keep standing up, then he's just going to eat shots on the ground until 15 minutes are up or until the ref steps in and stops it. So I like Elias Theodorou here. I don't have him in any plays right now. I was hoping the price would come back down a little bit, but we'll have to see on that. But I do like him pretty big for the pick.
Sean?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Brad just said. That's how I see it, is Theodorou coming out, pushing him up against the cage, dragging him down, letting him up, dragging him down, landing shots all in between. The only worry is, like you said, is Texas. and Texas judges paired together. If this is a fight where nobody gets hurt and nothing big happens and they're switching position on the fence over and over again, then it's going to be a fucking sweat. But hopefully it's Narvaez's back against the cage for the majority of the fight, and that'll make it a little easier. Theodoro by decision.
Yeah, I like Theodoro here a good bit. I kind of break it down exactly like Brad does, except I don't know if he's going to get up as much as you said he is. Theodoro, I actually really like him as a prospect. I think he's got a lot of tools. He's good looking. He has a very nice body. So those are kind of the important things that you look at when you're looking at a fighter. But yeah, he's an impressive fighter. His grappling is really good. He's ultra confident, which is kind of to me one of the most underrated things in MMA is confidence. You go in there beaten, you're going to get beat. If you go in there confident, you're going to have a way better shot at winning. So I think that's kind of important. And stylistically in this fight, I don't think Narvaez can stop the takedown. And I don't think he can get up. And I think he's going to make some dumb mistakes and get himself into some bad positions. I can see some of those rounds where, Theodoro gets his back, almost finishes a couple times, things like that. So I see this pretty one-sided. It's definitely going to be a parlay piece. I'm still matching everything together, like I said earlier. But yeah, really like Theodoro here. I do think he's going to get the win. I do think there's a decent chance he could actually get a finish here. I would not be surprised if he maybe subbed him or got a knockout with ground and pound. Theodoro by sub is currently at plus 915. I think there actually might be some value in that line. That line is pretty high considering I think that's a realistic possibility. So I'm sure what you guys think of that. Sean, you like the sub there?
915 seems awful fucking high, because if he's going to finish, that's going to be it, yeah.
Yeah, and knockout was like plus 300 or something.
No, it'll be a sub if he finishes. I don't think he finishes, though, but 915 is pretty fucking good.
I could see him, I mean, if he tires him out getting on top, and, I don't know, maybe with a stabby.
Yeah,
all right, let's move up now.
A big dude.
Yeah, he is. Big dude fall hard. So next up, on the final fight on the prelims, and probably the worst fight on the prelims, we have Ross Pearson taking on Sam Stout. Why is Sam Stout still fighting, Jay? Why?
I don't know. Why are either of these guys? I got Ross Pearson C+, Stout C to C, but leaning towards C-. These guys both are on the decline in their careers. It's pretty clear they've already seen their best days, and they're not there at this point. They're actually quite similar. I think Ross is a bit more well-rounded, but both prefer to strike, both prefer to stand. So it should be fairly entertaining, and it should be mostly, a standing exchange. I'll take Ross to win, but at this price, I'll pass. If anything, I would take a flyer on Stout, but I don't want to invest any money in this fight. I don't hate money that much.
Brad Taschuk.
Yeah, with how flaky both these guys can be at times, especially in regards to, Stout's chin seems to be fading. Pearson's never had a good chin. I think this line is way too long. Stout also has gotten a little bit better at mixing in his takedowns to steal rounds that he absolutely doesn't deserve because he's been outstruck for like 4 minutes and 30 seconds in them. So, given those two factors, if I was betting this, I'd definitely be looking at Stout as that side, because even though he's Sam hands are slow Stout and doesn't have all that much power, he still might be able to put Pearson out or steal a decision. But I do think that Pearson's cleaner boxing is going to end up winning the fight here. There's absolutely no way I'm laying almost 4-1 on Ross Pearson, though. That's absolutely insane.
Sean, is that the real deal?
I think 4-1 on Pearson is okay, and the reason why I think that...
You crazy.
Yeah, I think it's okay because I think Stout's chin told a very telling story his last time out. I think it's firmly on the bus to Maynardville. I think this is the time where we realize
young man.
He Lance ain't out there. Yeah, right. Maynardville. Yeah, I think when KJ Noon just eradicates you, I think it's that time now where it's got the Dan Henderson chin going on, where anything will do it. He gets hit a lot, and you guys are right about Pearson. He's not fucking good. His chin is shit, and he's also a little bit hittable. But I think when these guys trade, I think Stout falls over.
Remember when Pearson was favored over Ally Akita?
Oh yeah, remember when I bet him?
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Pearson by KO.
I think you argued. Anyway, this is a pass for me, I guess, to kind of start it off. I do favor Ross Pearson. He's definitely the better striker here. He's more fluid in his boxing. I think he definitely has the more power here. I think he has the better chin here. I mean, you get knocked out flat like that in your last fight, like Stout did versus Nunes. I mean, you got to kind of take a check there, but it's hard to trust Ross Pearson because sometimes he just comes out so flat. I mean, I know Iaquinta is a real good fighter and everything, but Ross just came out completely flat, and it's hard to bet someone, especially at a line like that, where they just come out that flat. And then on the flip side, if you bet on Sam Stout, you just hate the value of money. So you're in Vegas and just throwing chips around. So for me, it's a complete pass situation. I'll pick Ross Pearson, but it's just not a fight I'm looking at. I'll probably make a run to the bathroom or something during this fight. Moving up now, we move to the flyweight division as we have former title challenger Chris Carriasso versus first time in this weight class Henry Cejudo, favored minus 600. Che?
I got Henry Cejudo as an A-, Chris the sacrificial lamb Carriasso as a B-. Man, I feel bad for this guy. I mean, I really do. I mean, he gets Demetrius Johnson, gets completely dominated, and now he's got to face this guy, who's arguably the best wrestler in the organization, and a guy on the rise and a likely title challenger to Demetrius Johnson in the not-so-distant future. This is very bad for Chris Carriasso. Sure, he's shown good striking over the years that he's been around. He's a solid veteran, but this is bad for him because he cannot prevent the takedowns. And if Cejudo really wants to show off, he'll do that. And not to mention, Cejudo's boxing is not bad at all. So I think Henry Cejudo wins this however he wants. Yeah, so 600, I really have no issue with the line, to be honest with you.
Brad?
Yeah, it's not even that Chris Carriasso was a former title challenger. His last fight was for the title, and now he's facing a guy who has never actually fought at flyweight before, and I know it seems like a big number, but he's only 800 cents less of an underdog in this fight than he was against Demetrius Johnson, which, given the two lines, is kind of crazy. But it makes sense because I don't know where Chris Carriasso is going to win this fight. We've already seen that Cejudo is a good boxer. I think the four of us knew that before he came into the UFC. We all pretty much called that before the Kimura fight. Chris Carriasso is not going to out-wrestle Cejudo, and he's not going to submit him from his back. So Chris Carriasso is not going to win this fight, and Henry Cejudo is probably going to pretty much cruise to a decision. It's funny that the line for Cejudo to make weight is more competitive than the line for him to win the fight.
That's true.
And from the sounds of it, from his tweeting, it sounds like he's already on weight.
Yeah, it sounds like he's already bet a whole bunch of money on himself for that.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, $50.
Oh yeah, it's like $100 limit, right?
No, it's 50.
Is it? I didn't even look at it. What is the line on this thing? I like that there's a line. I like that a line exists, but what the hell?
Right now, it's minus 400 for him to make weight, and
it was plus 200.
Plus
yeah,
280
it was like
to miss
200
weight.
at some point. He's not.
Yeah, it was minus 200. I almost just played it, but it wasn't even worth. I mean, it's weird to bet on.
I think
maybe he gets sick tomorrow.
I think he realized he could actually make money doing this, and he's like, "Shit, I have to take this for real now."
Yeah, well, he's such a good athlete. I mean, there's not many athletes like him as far as the skill level he has. Because, like you guys said, he is a good boxer. So, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. He looked especially good last time out. But instead of talking about the good points, I question him mentally. Not just because of the weight cuts. It's the missed fights. It's everything put together. There's something going on. There's something. He doesn't believe in himself when he's in there. Something. If he comes in weak, if he comes in off, if he comes in questioning himself, Carriasso is the kind of guy who can make him second guess everything. Obviously, he can't stop the takedowns, but his kicks are pretty good. His power is decent. And if we've never seen before, if Cejudo is the kind of guy where he's not the front runner and he's wondering if he's going to win the fight, what does he do? I don't know, but it would tie into his other mental problems to just shut down and lose a fight. I mean, I think that's possible. If he comes in on, it's a wash. He rolls him. He gets him any way he wants. He doesn't do much on top when he finally does take a guy down, but, like you guys said, carry.
Sean?
Who's to himself.
I thought Sean died for the second time.
Yeah, you broke up, but it's fine. So, here's the thing. People always talk about, like Sean just said, his mental problems or his mental weakness, blah, blah, blah. That is just not... And I think people are confusing him missing weight with confidence issues
not
or
caring
mental
with
problems.
him, having issues.
That's him not caring.
What about the canceled fights?
Him and John Lineker are two totally different problems.
Sean, put it this way:
caring.
if he can make like $5,000 by going and doing an appearance and speaking to a bunch of kids, or he can make $1,000 for fighting in Legacy FC, which one would you choose?
See, here's the thing. So
I would choose to build my career.
But he is now.
But that's a different kind of career.
But all right, here's the thing. Listen, so it's not a confidence thing. I don't know if I knew Henry Cejudo before he was in MMA. I knew what he did. He was one of the. I think he was the youngest ever Olympic gold medalist in United States history for wrestling. He is the most confident, cocky, arrogant person you'll ever hear speak. It is not a confidence thing. He's never. Where you said if he shows up on fight night, then he'll roll. That dude has showed up ready to go every single day, every single fight, every single match of his life. He's the most ultra confident person. Those days he misses weight or doesn't show up to a fight, that's because he's lazy. But when he's on, and you can hear his interviews now.
How can those two things exist together?
What do you mean? When he's always on.
Exist together?
If he shows up, he's gonna be confident and he's gonna be in the right mind. If he doesn't show up,
if he felt like sitting on the couch.
All right.
When did he have a bad fight though?
He's never had a bad fight. He's never had a bad wrestling match.
He's
never had a bad wrestling match. The MMA thing was literally just like he didn't give a shit about making weight. Now he gives a shit. Now he's been to him. I guarantee you thinks it like this. Now he's been disrespected. People are challenging him and saying he can't do it. That's why he's doing it.
So what are you going to think if he doesn't make weight?
I would be so surprised if he missed. If he doesn't make weight, he won't fight this weekend. I'll say that. He won't even fight. He will not fight. If he makes weight, it's a wrap. Because it's not a confidence thing. It's not where he doesn't think. Even if he missed weight, there was the fights he didn't miss. What was one of his legacy fights? He missed weight by like 3 or 4 pounds.
He didn't fight.
Obviously,
I'm not fighting.
Obviously didn't. But the ones he did fight, there was 2 fights where he missed weight by 3
Ryan
or 4
Hollis,
pounds.
I think.
Yeah, he missed weight by 3 or 4 pounds. Didn't give a shit. I don't know if you watched that fight. He came out cocky as fuck. Didn't give a shit. Whatever, they're still gonna pay me. Came out and fucking rolled this dude. Made a joke of it with a sparring match. It's not a confidence thing. If he shows up to the cage, he's there. He's ready to go. He's the most confident. Listen to his interviews from back in the day even. He's a cocky motherfucker. He don't fuck around. So you don't have to worry about that. He makes weight. He's showing up. He's going to roll this fight. So I like Henry Cejudo. He's going to win this fight. He's going to style on him. All right, next up, heavyweight division, Roy Nelson, Alistair Overeem. Jay?
I have Alistair Overeem B-, Roy Big Country Nelson B. Okay? Now you see the line is flipped. I have Nelson. I favor Nelson in this fight simply because Alistair Overeem is afraid to get hit. He does not like being hit. It's so clear watching his last 3, 4, 5 fights. The guy is doing anything he can to avoid being hit. And if he gets hit, he gets hurt and he loses. And one guy who can hit him and knock him out is Roy Nelson. He's shown this time and time again. And I think he's going to knock him out in the first round. So I will take Roy Nelson to win this fight. I'm betting Roy Nelson. I have a unit on him at 165. It pops up again on fight day. If closer to 200, once again, I will take another unit on him to do so.
Brad.
Yeah, Jay, I don't think you're going to get a better line closer to fight time. I think this is going to move in Roy Nelson's favor from this point on because there are a lot of people on him. I can understand why, but I also think that Alistair Overeem is the better fighter. Nelson can come forwards and double jab, overhand right, and knock Overeem out. I get that. But if that doesn't happen within the first couple of minutes, he's going to lose this fight. If Overeem comes out and shoots immediately, Roy Nelson is going to lose this fight. So I think that Overeem is smart at this point. He knows that his chin is garbage. That's why he's been fighting the way that he's been fighting. My only worry is that instead of coming out and going for a takedown, he's going to come out and sort of do what he did against Struve, where he just backs up and he's real tentative. I think that was more because of Struve's length than, he knew what he wanted to do. He was just looking for that spot to get in for the takedown. I don't think he's going to be quite as tentative going for the takedown here against Nelson. And honestly, I haven't really seen Nelson throw an effective strike moving backwards in his entire career. He needs to get that belly moving forward to get his power behind him. So I'm picking Overeem here. I do have half a unit on Nelson in round 1, and I have half a unit on Overeem by decision. Both those lines were over plus 300 at the time I took them.
Sean?
Yeah, the things that Brad said are true. Overeem is better. He just is. He's got more tools for sure, but we don't have to overthink this fight. We're not talking about a glass jaw. We're talking about a glass head. We're talking about a guy who gets hit high on the head and goes to sleep by Ben Rothwell. We talk about a guy who can get hit anywhere, a glancing blow upside his head, and he's in deep shit. And he doesn't want to get hit, and he's going to back up, and he's going to stay tentative, and he's going to look for a takedown. What a deflation it will be for Alistair Overeem if he tries to get a takedown and doesn't get it. And then he goes, fuck, I've got to fucking stand up with this guy now? He's going to knock me out. He has no confidence in his chin. He does not want to get hit. You can't fight heavyweights like that. It's not going to happen. Don't overthink this. This is a guy who hits you once and goes to sleep versus a guy who gets hit once and goes to sleep. Roy Nelson, KO.
Yeah, I'm with you guys here. I'm with everyone here. I think Overeem is obviously the better fighter. He's the more well-rounded fighter. He has the better wrestling. He's the much better striker. But there's always that X factor here, and in the heavyweight division especially, it's chin. Overeem doesn't have it, and I think Sean made some good points saying, if you're not confident in your striking and you're fighting tentative, it's going to hurt you even more. It's going to force you to be awkward and put yourself in a weird position. I bet on Overeem in that Struve fight, and I thought to myself, no matter what happens, there's no way Stefan Struve is winning this fight. I was like, the talent gap is too much. Struve's chin, this, like everything I think of. And like 15 seconds, 20 seconds into that fight, I was like, I was almost certain like Overeem was going to lose. I was thinking to myself, he does not want to be in there. He's scared. Like, literally scared. He looked like a scared person. Like, if I was in the cage, that's what he looked like. Like, he looked like that. Like, he would just like, oh my god, like, and then like he shot a takedown. You could almost see like a sigh of relief. Like,
yeah, he was like, woo!
I have at least 4 minutes of not having to stand up with another fighter. And like, Roy Nelson doesn't have the best takedown defense. Roy Nelson doesn't have the most skills, but he's aggressive and he throws fucking bombs. And if he was scared of what Stefan Struve would do to his chin, I mean, Roy Nelson can just decapitate people with that overhand right. So I like Roy Nelson here. I do think Roy catches him. I do think it's early. I have Roy inside of 1 minute here. I think he's going to throw one punch. I think it's going to land, and I think Overeem's out. So this is going to be our 5 dimes consensus dog of the week. So we're doing 1 unit on this as our team plays here. So we want to thank 5 dimes for that, and Roy Nelson is our consensus dog of the week. Next up, we move to the
Twittered officially. No,
yeah.
Don't tweet it out, then people don't listen to the show as much.
Too late.
You and Jay are always like live tweeting the show of like saying what we're talking about.
I only
get too excited, Lance. You don't understand that.
What, that you like? People listen for our picks and our underdog picks, so we just tweet it out.
No, I'm talking about the humor. I usually put up, some of the things that come up on the show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure that
people
the
should look out for.
listeners get the line that we got.
All right, well let's go ahead and speed this up. I don't know how we've taken this long. Welterweight division: Johnny Hendricks, Matt Brown. Jay.
Man, I love this fight. This is my favorite fight of the weekend. I've been excited for this one for a long time now, pretty much since it's been announced. So I didn't think that this would be the fight that they do, but I'm excited that they're making it. I got Johnny Hendricks as an A, Matt Brown A-. You know what? Hendricks claims he's motivated. He claims he's not having issues with his weight, but I also know that he opened this fucking steakhouse, and that steakhouse is getting bad reviews. That can't be good either. Not sure how that affects Johnny Hendricks, the fighter, but figured I'd throw that out there. Matt Brown is a guy who shows up for every single fight that he's in. That's one thing with Matt Brown, and he really impressed me in the Robbie Lawler fight. I thought he was dead in the water, had zero shot in that fight. And he made it a lot more competitive than I ever thought it was going to be. So I don't think you can count Matt Brown out of this fight. So that's the reason I'm not betting it, because I think Johnny Hendricks has, several clear advantages. One is that his wrestling is very good, and he can get Matt Brown down pretty regularly in this fight, kind of like how he did against Carlos Condit when he won that 3-round fight. I think that's how this likely plays out. The first 2 rounds are pretty clear to Hendricks. Maybe Matt Brown makes a comeback late. But I think it's going to be too late there. I think Hendricks gets this done. But I'm not going to touch this line. I'm very excited for it, though.
Brad.
Yeah, this should be a relatively fun fight. I don't think it's going to be as great as people think, because I'm pretty sure that every time Matt Brown comes forward and starts to get any offense going, he's going to end up getting planted on his ass. So there's going to be a whole lot of that, and Matt Brown isn't as good at getting back to his feet as somebody like Carlos Condit. I think he's basically a lesser version of Carlos Condit in almost every fashion, and we saw how the Condit-Hendricks fight went. So I think this fight is going to be a lesser version of that fight, and I think that Johnny Hendricks is going to win a pretty clear decision here. So I like Johnny Hendricks. Again, haven't parlayed him, kind of the same thing as Elias Theodorou, but I am eyeballing him with a couple other guys.
Sean.
Yeah, I like Hendricks. Talking about being impressed with either guy, I was impressed that Matt Brown made the Lawler fight as close as it was. The only reason why it was that close is because Lawler didn't throw a body kick. I don't know why he didn't, but
that was so weird.
I was just waiting for that, and it never happened. Oh well.
It was like Lawler wanted to get 5 rounds in to practice what he was going to do against Hendricks second time.
Yeah, right? it was a little weird. But the more impressive thing was Hendricks' striking in the last Lawler fight while he still had a gas tank. He really put together some nice combos. They were pretty crisp, and they were pretty fast, and they were short, and he was throwing them like he meant it, and he just looked good striking-wise. I think stand-up-wise, if that Hendricks shows up, he'll beat the hell out of Matt Brown standing, and Matt Brown is tough enough to take it, and that'll make for a fun fight. If all of a sudden Hendricks doesn't like what he's getting in that stand-up, then we know the wrestling advantage is huge. He puts him on his back, and he can keep him there if he doesn't want it standing. So hopefully Hendricks doesn't push it in the stand-up arena too much if it starts to get ugly and goes for the takedown. But either way, I think Hendricks wins the decision.
Love Johnny Hendricks here. Definitely one of the more confident pieces that I would have today, or for this weekend. It really, I think he is better everywhere. First of all, I think he's a much better striker, and I think we've seen that, against Robbie Lawler and against George St. Pierre, and he has been improving through his last few fights. And his striking looked good against 2 really good strikers. So he's improving. He's faced top competition obviously for the last few years. He's been in nothing but 5-round fights. Now he's dropping down to a 3-round fight, which sometimes you could be scared about starting slow, but Johnny Hendricks isn't a slow starter. So the gas tank, which was a problem in his last fight and the reason he lost, that shouldn't be an issue here. He's only got 3 rounds. He gassed out in the 4th and 5th round. And also, if you look at him, his weight is way down from earlier. He was, at this point, he was probably sitting at almost probably 195 pounds right now the day before last time. This time, I think he said he was 185 yesterday or something like that. So he's not even that far away. He's right on pace for his cut. And Johnny Hendricks has never shied away from his wrestling. He's not a dumb fighter. If someone's getting the best of him on the feet, he immediately takes the fight to the ground. And I don't know if there's a more accomplished wrestler in the UFC than Johnny Hendricks. He was always known as a badass when he wrestled. He was the meanest guy on the mat, and he kind of fights like that as well. So I think Hendricks is gonna take Matt Brown down, frustrate him, get in his face, push the pace. And really the only way I see Matt Brown winning this, I think he has no way of winning a decision. I don't think he has any way of knocking Johnny Hendricks out. The only possible way I could even has a chance of winning is submitting Johnny Hendricks from his back, but it is not easy to submit a wrestler from your back, especially a guy like Johnny Hendricks. So it's going to be Johnny Hendricks here. He's definitely going to be a parlay piece, and it's definitely a guy that I do like here in this fight. And it's kind of a much win for Johnny Hendricks if he does want to get that belt back, because I think if he wins, he will get the next shot at the title after Roy McDonald. So moving up, we have in the women's strawweight division, Carla Esparza versus Joanne Jedrzejczyk. Jay?
I got Esparza.
Is that right? Did I pronounce that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, you did, Lance.
I'm half Polish. I don't know. I don't know how the hell you say that.
That's the girl who lost to Claudia Gadelha and then talks shit all the time, right?
Yeah,
that is correct. Yes.
And she talks like this. Yeah.
Why does everyone like her? I hate her. I hope she gets submitted.
I mean, I got the poll as a B plus. I mean, her striking is pretty good. I mean, she hits hard for 115, 150-pound girl. She hits hard. That's the truth. Technically, she's pretty solid with her hands. I think she was a European Muay Thai champion. Those are the facts about her. The thing about Esparza is I feel like she's constantly underrated because, I mean, she doesn't really have anything that's super flashy, but her ground game is extremely effective. Her boxing, I think, is improved. I thought she held her own on the feet against what's her name, Rose Namajunas. In her last fight, I thought she impressed in that regard. And her submission game is not bad at all either. So I think she's kind of like it's a bit like the turtle versus the hare. I mean, I expect her to start fast and hard, landing some shots early. But Esparza will keep that steady pace for as long as the fight takes, and she'll eventually tire the Paul out and likely get a submission. Kind of what Della was trying to go for, but the judges screwed her over big time. I got Esparza as a parlay piece with Elias Theodoro. I played that for a unit, and it is plus 107. Esparza and Elias Theodoro.
That's one of the more underrated, awful decisions of the year. That was one of the worst decisions I've seen.
Considering how important the fight was, yeah, absolutely. Especially for an undefeated fighter like Gadelha. That was bullshit.
You have to play that new account when you look at bad decisions. Because, to me, the Frankie Edgar-Ben Henderson 2 fight was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my whole life. Like, a title fight that was completely dominated by one person, then scored the other way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
That was that was the one that was I've been disappointed in bad decisions, but that was one of the times I was really deeply disappointed by MMA at that moment. Ugh.
Considering it really changes the outcome of people's lives, that kind of stuff.
Well,
you're not talking about a random fight pass card. You're not talking about a random fight pass card. You're talking about legitimate dudes talking about legitimate money and
title
and altering the sport. Yeah, absolutely.
It alters the sport. I mean, to me, the Gil Melendez Ben Henderson decision was whatever. It was close. The Frankie Edgar rematch wasn't close. It was very one-sided,
in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, I scored that fight for Ben Henderson, as most people did. Everyone just wanted to claim, claim a robbery. But Frankie Edgar beat the fucking brakes off Ben in that fight. But whatever, Brad.
What about the first Penn-Edgar fight where Penn clearly won and Edgar got the decision?
Was that clear?
I thought Edgar won it.
I thought it was.
You thought Edgar won the first fight, Sean?
Yeah,
I feel like that's very overrated bad decision. That fight was close.
Go back and watch the fight.
It was close.
I watched it a couple times because I took so much shit after saying that Edgar won it, and I watched it a bunch of times. I just thought Edgar won it.
Oh, boo!
Even the St. Pierre Hendricks fight was another one, another title fight.
Yeah, but imagine if that.
Yeah, but imagine what Hendricks would his kind of aura would be if he came off and was the one who beat George St. Pierre.
Yeah, but everyone considers that they beat. All of them made sense. He did beat George. Everyone thinks he beat. I actually say he beat George.
Yeah,
he did.
He won. So,
anyways,
all right, Brad,
as far as this fight goes, I'm actually surprised that as many people are giving Jellybean as much attention and as much hype and support as she's getting. It's kind of surprising to me because she got taken down 7 times in her last fight? Should have lost a decision, and now she's facing a better wrestler than she faced in her last fight. So it's kind of curious to me that that's the way people are looking at it. I think that Esparza is going to be able to take her down. She's going to be able to control her. When it is on the feet, obviously, Jelly Bean's going to have an advantage standing, but I don't think it's going to be there too long. And I think eventually Carla's going to get a submission, probably third, fourth round. And I think the reason that she's underrated is because people just don't like her. It's one of those things where people want to see her lose, so rather than actually looking at the fights and breaking down the fights for what they are, they pick with their heart and they end up losing money. So, go people.
Sean?
I have a confession. I like Joanna. I think she's pretty cool. I like her, very aggressive. She throws nice, crisp punches.
Wait, I thought you were going to give us another movie review.
No, I actually like this chick. I can't help it. I enjoyed watching her fight last time. She really bit down on the mouthpiece and gritted it out. And, maybe she didn't deserve to win.
She really gritted it out on the judges' scorecards.
Yeah, she really gritted it out.
She really paid those judges.
She nibbled a bit on those numbers, didn't she?
She nibbled something.
She kept trying. She didn't fold up like the other girl fighters. She looked pretty good. She's entertaining. I hope she wins, but... wrestler versus grappler, she's already gotten taken down 50 billion times. It's probably just going to be boring with her on her back, trying to get back up over and over again, but I like her. I can't help it.
No, that was the worst fucking breakdown I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's no real breakdown.
Yeah, I like Carla Esparza here. This is an interesting fight. I actually am decently excited for this fight. I think it's pretty clear. I mean, if you look at what Claudia Gadelha did in her win over Joanna, she completely dominated with her wrestling. She took her down, easily won a decision, right?
Yeah, that's what I
okay.
saw.
Yeah. Gadelha took her down at will. Clearly won 2 rounds of that fight. Just a clear victory, and we saw how she did it. She outworked her. She took her down. She rode her out for a while. Got some top time. And Esparza is a much better wrestler, and she doesn't have as good submissions as Claudia Gadelha, but she's much better at staying on top. She has a way better top game as far as staying on top and grinding it out, and that's what I see here. I know Esparza is not going to gas here, and I can't say the same for Jerkistan. So she definitely might gas out in this spot. There's all kinds of stuff. Also, she's too hyped up. She's way too hyped up. Like, you hear her talk, she's fucking hyped up. She's too much. I don't like her. I'd fight her. You think I can take her?
No.
You don't think I can take a 115-pound woman with no takedown defense?
Not this
I think she'd knock you out, actually.
Yeah,
I could tie my arms behind my back and she could knock me out.
She hits pretty hard.
For a 110-pound woman.
I think she hits harder than most of the bantamweights, actually.
I have 40 pounds of her on her.
Doesn't matter. You're knocked out.
I would bet any amount of money on myself.
You're going to sleep. You're taking a Polish nap.
I would have no doubt in my mind that I would submit her.
You're gonna be dreaming of pierogies with a broken jaw. You're not gonna be able to eat those pierogies, Lance.
The only thing I would be scared about is that I would break her neck with my guillotine.
You have a mean guillotine?
Is that some sort of Polish joke? I don't understand.
Name a wrestler with a bad guillotine. Oh wait, there are none. It's the only.
I thought that was a French thing.
No, wrestlers are natural guillotine because it's basically when someone shoots in, it's just like a front headlock, and wrestlers always have freakishly strong grips. That's why wrestlers are always good at guillotines.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's hot, Lance.
I didn't know about your guillotine, Lance. Now I do. Thank you.
Yeah, Lance, that's nice.
I have the strongest grip you'll ever see.
I can't wait to watch you guillotine a 115-pound woman. Where can I sign up?
You really wouldn't think I would beat Joanna Jerkistan.
No, I don't.
No.
What?
I really
think she'd
you'd
head kick you.
I'm really mad at you guys right now. I am. I understood the Misha Tate thing. She's basically my size. And, but I don't understand this one. I could literally walk up, she could do whatever she wanted, I would just pick her up and I would just throw her on the ground. And then I would choke her until she died.
You'd kill her now? What the fuck?
I mean,
this escalated quickly.
Yeah, really.
If it's what I have to do, I mean, I would go Kumite with her.
If she dies, she dies.
She dies. I hate you guys right now. I don't even think we're gonna break down the main event.
It doesn't really need a breakdown anyways.
Yeah, we know what's going to happen anyway.
You guys are such dickheads. Anthony Pettis, Rafael dos Anjos, Jay.
Yeah, this is the main event. I got Anthony Pettis A+, Rafael dos Anjos A-. I mean, it's hard not to be impressed with what Rafael dos Anjos has done his last couple fights. And Ben Henderson knockout, domination of Nate Diaz. It almost makes you think he's been riding the lava wave. I mean, I don't want to start any rumors or anything, but just saying. Anthony Pettis, though, is probably the most talented striker in the division, one of the most talented strikers in the entire sport. I mean, the only worry here for Pettis is again some takedowns from Dos Anjos. He's not going. I can't see Dos Anjos outstriking him on the feet. No one can. I'm convinced. And if it goes to the ground, Pettis is very, very dangerous with those submissions. And kind of like my thought process there is even if Dos Anjos ends up in top control, Pettis could certainly sub him at some point during the fight. I think this is going to be a tough road for Dos Anjos. I think he's had a good run, but that run's going to come to an end. Pettis is going to finish this fight. Not sure though if it's going to be a knockout or a sub.
Brad, she is 5'6", 110 pounds.
How much taller are you?
Two things. Lance,
You know how skinny that is?
I would pick you against any 105-pound woman in the world.
Wow.
Not 115.
Not
Any?
115.
Any?
I honestly...
I think
So-
Lance would destroy Michelle
Here's how
Watterson.
You
Here's
could
how I
get subbed.
Here's seriously how I could submit Joanna. I could grab her wrist.
Submission by Indian Burn.
I would grab her wrist and I would just squeeze and pull down. And she
Indian
would tap
rug
back.
burns.
Look at her arms. Look at a picture of her arms. And you
Look at
tell
your
me
arms.
hurt me.
You act like you have arms. The
I'm
only
fucking
reason-
down. Have you seen
I
these forearms? dude?
certainly know she's not going to beat you by by hair pull or anything, Lance.
Jay, have you seen these forearms, Jay? Have you seen these
I
things?
see these forearms. Are you hitting
So-
on me?
I rip all my dress shirts within 2 years.
rip all your dresses?
You rip all your dresses?
My dress shirts, they rip because of the massive forearms.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
Too
Easy
late.
goodbye.
It's a true story. You can ask my dad.
All right.
I will ask your dad.
He'll tell you.
Second thing.
After this show, I'm gonna send Mr. Barry a tweet. I'm gonna ask him about this shirt you speak
Rip
of.
dresses?
Rip dresses, yeah.
You seriously don't think I could beat up this little chick?
I think she'll knock you out. I really do.
Dude, have you seen her? She's the skinniest. She's disgusting looking for one. Ew, she looks like she just fucking escaped from Auschwitz. But seriously.
She's gonna head kick you, Lance.
She could head kick me and I wouldn't even move.
She'll jab. She'll knock Lance out with a jab.
How could that possibly hurt if she head kicked me?
Lance would just be laying there unconscious with a ripped dress on.
Oh, man.
I hate you guys. No, I hate you.
Second thing, Jay, I like your, I don't want to start any rumors, but I'm going to accuse this guy of being on steroids. I enjoy that. That's a good angle to take. But yeah, this fight, Pettis is going to destroy him on the feet. Dos Anjos might be able to get a takedown or two. Pettis is going to pop back up, destroy him on the feet some more, and it's going to get finished pretty quickly, I think. I like the under 2.5 here. For some reason, people think that Rafael dos Anjos is really durable. I know he's only been finished twice, but I've never really seen him take a whole lot of punishment in his fights. And Anthony Pettis is probably the best finisher in MMA. So the under 2.5 at plus 120. Yes, please.
Jay, Brett, Sean, could I Could I beat Asling Daly?
It depends on which dress you have on. If you've got something roomy where you can really wrestle and get your guillotine off, then yeah.
No, I would say he wants something more form-fitting. You know,
Are you sure he's not going to wear
compression shorts, right?
What about number 4 ranked Rose Namajunas?
She'd sub you.
No, here's what I would do with that situation. I would take her down. I would let her triangle me. I would pick her up because she weighs 110 pounds. I would pick her up. I would run through the air, jump in the air, and power bomb her.
Oh, I bet you were going to say you'd throw her out of the Octagon.
Just picture that. Close your eyes.
I'm trying to.
Picture me standing up, holding her over, sprinting, jumping in the air, and I would slam her where her head hit in the corner where the cage is.
Oh,
like
the Seth Rollins power bomb.
So like an awesome bomb.
Now, how is she going to beat me?
What if she has a flying armbar you, and you don't even realize that your elbow's already out of your socket?
All right, so she grabs my arm, I then readjust, and then I powerbomb her again.
He doesn't have that ability.
She's 110 pounds.
You're gonna get a hernia.
She's 110 pounds.
A hernia.
You're insane. Carlos Esparza would probably out-wrestle me, though.
Oh, boy.
All right, Sean, do you want to break? You want to go?
Yeah, sure. I keep on imagining this fight as a replay of the Gill fight. I like RDA. I think he'll have a little bit of success early, but I think that Pettis is one adjustment away from beating him. I think much in the same way the Gill fight. I think on the way in he catches him with something and jumps on a guillotine, or on the way in catches him with a knee, jumps on his back, something like that. He dazes him and gets him with a sub, probably about round 2, something like that.
That's it?
That's it. It's an easy one.
Yeah, I like Anthony Pettis here. I think he finishes, but I don't know about how quick. He might just kind of fuck around with him and beat him up and put on a show. He has, I don't know. I don't see any way RDA wins. I just don't know if he gets finished quickly. I think that's kind of like the only thing here. I think we're getting a pretty fair line, don't you guys think?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Seems like
it's really not that bad. I mean, this should be like a minus 800, really.
Oh.
I mean, is RDA gonna what's RDA's best option here? Like
a KO.
If you close,
probably KO.
See, I would say grinding him out with wrestling.
No, he won't make it 5 rounds. Yeah, he won't make it 5.
You think he'll get armbarred, broken in half, died?
No, I think he'll pass out at the end of the third.
We thought the same thing about the Ben Henderson fight, though. And that was weird.
As much as
that was shocking.
Yeah.
As much as I give Tony Pettis shit and make fun of him, the dude is seriously, he might be the most exciting fighter in the UFC. Legit. Every second you watch him is awesome. On the feet, and he, it's not we talk about earlier, Cruikshank throws all that flashy shit. Pettis throws the flashy shit, and it all lands on your body or your head.
Yeah.
It's just, he's so great, and you go with, and the hardest thing about, picturing a guy beating him is, on the feet, he's better than everyone in the division. He's the best striker in the division. I don't think anybody would question that. He is by far the best striker in the division. You go to the ground, I mean, he honestly might have the best guard in the division. He might. You think?
Maybe.
Submitted Ben Henderson.
I'd have to think about that one a lot more.
Who's next?
Tony Ferguson's got a really good guard, but
if you fucking bring up Tony Ferguson in the same breath as Anthony Pettis, I'm gonna slap him.
That's
a guard?
No, Jay, that's not even close.
Are you talking about when Danny Castillo was in Tony Ferguson's guard for 15 minutes? That one?
Oh God, don't remind me about that.
Yeah, exactly. They're not in the same realm. Anthony Pettis might be better than everyone at everything besides wrestling, but the thing is, it's negated because how good his guard's gotten. And his takedown defense has gotten a lot better, but man, Anthony Pettis is something special. And I look at the 155-pound weight class, and we always talk about how stacked of a weight class it is, but no one's beaten Tony. Anthony Pettis would make Khabib Nurmagomedov look like he'd never fought.
No. Khabib's the only one with
I can't. There's so many people that think they would favor Khabib over Pettis, and I just do not get it.
Are you talking about so Khabib has only faced one wrestler, right? And decent,
not his fault, Lance.
Gleison Tebow, he went 0 for 19 on takedowns versus the best wrestler he's faced. 0 for 19.
But Gleison Tebow probably has the best takedown defense in the history of the fucking division.
He has no NCAA All-Americans, therefore it's not correct.
Gleison Tebow also outstruck Khabib, so there's that too.
Yes, stats in MMA are stupid. So stupid. Anyone who looks at stats in MMA
Khabib to charge forward with his hands down and his face leading the way, and Pettis just crack him with everything he throws.
I would play Pettis TK. I would play Pettis inside the distance against Khabib at minus 250. Legit. There's no other outcome than Khabib going night-night.
Yeah, it's a good thing you're probably going to get plus money on that.
Man.
How do you know that? You've already talked about
this, people are stupid.
No.
We're talking
hype on Khabib. It's ridiculous. Listen to you guys talking about it. You think
I like Khabib. I've been on the Khabib train for how long now?
Do you really think Khabib can hold him down, and survive 25 minutes with Tony?
I just can't come up with another 55-pound wrestler who can do it.
But that's fine. He might be he have the best chance, but he has no chance.
Yeah, he's got the best chance. But,
you know who has the best chance? all the 145-pound guys. Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendez, those guys have a better chance than anyone.
Stop. We already had this conversation. We're not...
Tony Pettis is fucking great. He's probably going to decapitate somebody tonight or on Saturday. He's fun to watch. He's just, I love that he's making a quick comeback. He's still young. I think if a guy like this fights 3 times a year, he could be one of the superstars in the UFC. So Anthony Pettis finishes, wins, looks impressive, and I guess he fights Cowboy next and finishes in the first round again.
Yeah,
oh no, Cowboy has Habib, so I guess Habib will pull out. So I guess there's no one to fight Tony. Maybe he'll fight Graymaker. Alright, so that'll do it for things. We kind of went a little bit long here, guys, so just give me like a word here for the final question. So, Jay, MLS is starting next week. Any games that you like this weekend?
It's the second week. But yeah, Houston, they play on Friday night against Orlando. Orlando is a new team. They're without their starting center back. Houston's really good at home.
Jay.
And continue. And Seattle's only minus 191 at home against San Jose. Seattle's the best team in the league right now. Seattle's a good parlay piece if you're looking for something over the weekend.
Nobody in America even knows what MLS is. Brad, speaking of something that nobody knows what is, they play lacrosse?
They do play lacrosse.
Who do you like? Do you like Denver?
Denver is playing this weekend, but they don't have a line on their game, so of the lines that are posted... Syracuse minus 2.5. That's they've been the best team in the country so far this year, and yeah,
what about Cornell?
Don't they still got snow up there though? I mean, how are they going to play this game?
They've already played like 6 games, and Syracuse
at
plays
home.
Yeah, they play their home games in the Carrier Dome.
Oh, inside, bunch of cheaters.
All right, and Sean, what do you think of the Al Heyman produced boxing event on NBC last weekend? Is it sustainable? Did you like it? Boxing is a thing still?
Robert Guerrero saved it. What a good fight. What a tough fucking dude. He lost, but it was a fun fight to watch because the first one was fucking horrible. So
is that Eddie Guerrero's brother?
Yeah, sure. His cousin.
Nephew.
They still have fights going on the Heyman cards that would have been on HBO. So it's still viable, and I'm sure it'll continue, but it's not HBO still.
I heard the fight tomorrow. The guy, one of the guys had to pull out because of the medical issue.
Who?
The guy who's fighting
Garcia.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I had a bet on that fight. Oh well.
Who's he fighting? Porter. Yeah. Sorry.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's MMA Analysis. I appreciate everyone listening. We want to thank our sponsor, 5 Dimes. Everyone check out MMAOddsBreaker.com. And I want to give a special shout-out to Jeremy Lovelace. He's been kind of working behind the scenes, helping us out with the website. We also got a Facebook page created, so everyone check that out. We have a YouTube page that was recently created, so please subscribe to that. Now we're on YouTube. We're on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, which you can find through MMA Oddsbreaker. We're doing a lot of stuff, so we really appreciate all your support. But once again, a special shout out to Jeremy Lovelace. I'll be with him in Vegas this weekend, so everyone enjoy the fights this weekend. We'll all have our bets posted on our Twitter accounts as well. So everyone sign up or make your picks for the MMA Analysis pool. And I think that's it this week. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the listen. Everyone have a great weekend.